The students were led by Hoima District Police Commander Alex Waiswa last evening marched through the city in their school uniforms, holding placards that read, "European Union, leave our oil." Later, they handed the petition to the Prime Minister of Hoima Kingdom, Andrew Byakutaga, at the Kingdom offices.
This afternoon we have received a petition from the Uganda National Students Association, Greater Hoima chapter, who have come to express their displeasure about the European Union resolution halting the exploitation of oil and gas resources in Uganda.
Faith Chomugisha, who handed over the petition on behalf of other students, told the Prime Minister they do not support the resolution by the European Union Parliament because it will. According to Chomugisha, the resolution hinders job creation.
Opposing this act of the European Union saying that you cannot extract our oil there down. It's because of that oil I expect more development in this region here, Hoima and Uganda at large. Remember, prices of oil are so high here in Uganda, but when we get that opportunity of extracting our oil, the prices will go low, and even to help us develop more.
Other students say the resolution was not made in good faith.
And the kingdom itself should rise up and help and do something about the oil. Not only chasing away the whites will help, but also themselves will have to play some role on the oil.
Some other students revealed that Uganda and Tanzania, which are hosting the pipeline, are sovereign states that have the capacity to handle their matters.
For oil, we need it, that's good, and that's why we are here. But the main thing which is going to help us is collaborating with them, hand in hand. We should see the advantages, not disadvantages.
So let the government first unite themselves, let them first get organized. We can defeat those Europeans, but how? We first get organized.
Andrew Byakutaga, Bunyoro Kitara Kingdom Prime Minister, promised to forward the matter to the Omukama of Bunyoro, Dr. Solomon Gafabusa Iguru.
The petition, we shall forward it to His Royal Highness, the King of Bunyoro, Dr. Solomon Gafabusa Iguru, to guide us on the way forward. However, he had already instructed us to express our displeasure, and we did that.
Recently, the majority of the members of the European Parliament raised concerns over the construction of the 1,443-kilometer crude oil pipeline that will start from Kabale, Hoima district in Uganda, to Chengolen, Tanga in Tanzania. They are concerned.
Hello there, it's 1 minute past 8 o'clock. My name is Priva Elibaz. The conversation on our Twitter Jabs continues right here on our Twitter Jabs 2. And we are still looking at the impact of strikes in regards to the EU resolution on the East Africa crude oil pipeline project. Now, joining me in studio is Mr. Okori Brian, yes, who is the Finance Secretary of the Uganda National Students Association. Good morning, sir. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Good morning to all the viewers and good morning again.
Okay. So, well, last week we see students marching all over the streets of Kampala, heading to the Crested Towers and delivering their petition to the EU delegation or the EU offices. What was the UNSA protest about?
One, UNSA is an advocacy platform, and we basically deal in advocating. And when you see the students wake up to go to the streets, either they're advocating for something which is wrong or right, that's the platform. And why they were up is because the resolution was out on paper,
yes,
in English, and very simple English, by the way. And every layman, the person who went to school, they would read the resolutions. Human rights violation, first don't do this, then after do this.
Yes.
So the student's mind was, okay, you're stopping us from having our oil, but I'm leaving school tomorrow. So, and again, a narrative has been drawn out clearly by government. They are trying to show the citizenry that when the oil comes, life will get better. Now, there's frustration in this country, and students are not any far from those who are frustrated. Now, Ugandans are now in a discussion to students. Students are also big people. You can be a student of master's, maybe, PhD,
yes,
or any more other stages of life. So, were there minors that came to the street No. Most of them were above 18. Those ones I saw, because I was not there, but I was trying to follow from my living room as well, what was happening. Most of them were above 18, meaning they consented to go to the streets.
To participate
So the students' mind was, can I come out? Can we fight for this better life? When this oil comes, I think life will change. And that's why it ends. The other part of human rights and what, they don't have that in the backing of mind. No.
But how did we get here? How did it come about, the protest to begin with? And I would love to, most importantly, understand the objective of the strike.
The objective, it wasn't a strike anyway. It was only a protest to deliver a petition.
Yes.
You know, you can just walk to the EU and deliver a petition, which was even better than causing traffic. But I think the narrative always has been that show them that we are grieved and we are many, so that they can listen to us. But the end point was delivering a petition. Whether they drove in the morning and just took the petition, but their mind was, can we petition over this? This is wrong. In their own perspective as students. So whether they have given a very weak petition, but they have said something that they want. So at the end of the day, the protest was to deliver a petition to tell the EU people, the EU delegation, that this is our position as students of this country. So I don't think there was any other bigger narrative behind the protest, unless the modus operandi on how it happened.
Well, let's talk about the criteria of organizing this particular protest.
Yes.
Earlier on in your submission, you talked about the issue of consent. Did the Uganda National Students Association seek consent from parents, from schools? Maybe students, they could have consented, but the parents and schools, how was the whole thing put together?
Schools and parents, I saw a letter out by the executive secretary of UNSA. The letter was clear and was asking, I don't know if I have a copy of it, asking the headmasters to send a delegation of their students to come for an engagement in Kololo on leadership training and a few dialogue within themselves as structures of UNSA. You know UNSA has leadership up to the class level all over the country. So them inviting their structures by then, and I don't love the discussion because some people are looking at the letter and reading it not fully as it's supposed to be read. Yes. Because the letter, besides the educational issues, they said, and other matters of national importance. Oil is one of them. When you look at the agenda, the last item was a march. So any headmaster or headmistress who released the students, or parent who released the student, because it was addressed to teachers, not parents anyway. Yes. We believe that parents, through the leadership of the PTA, are part of management. So we wouldn't really have to seek consent from each parent. It will take a year to engage them in any kind of engagement of such an urgent matter by then. So the students going to march, yet it was on agenda, wasn't wrong. That means your headmaster or headmistress read the letter and said, okay, you will march, you will discuss and march. So go and march, go discuss and march. That thing of, I'm hearing them say the Prime Minister was used as the trading tool. Bait, no. Because the Prime Minister is sane. I believe by now she would have replied on Twitter maybe or formally saying this as an impersonation. I was supposed to be part of this engagement. But again, if you go for a wedding party per se, and they say the bishop will come and the priest comes, do you say it's a fake wedding? So the Prime Minister must have to come and set our own delegation to deliver communication. Yes. Because most importantly, the message. I want to repeat, and should be on record. Me, myself, I didn't go for that protest. Because in my own perspective as an individual, I didn't see reasons as to why they would protest. So me and the resolutions of the EU, mine was maybe only, okay, we are sovereign state. But they had some matters they put in over human rights violation, climate change, and the rest that are also pertinent. So if there was a meeting that we sat in an executive, I individually said, I will not be part of this engagement, but by consensus, by democracy, your one vote doesn't matter, or 2 or 3. So the event has to continue. But now that it's out to the space there, and it's the association, we can't run away from it. That's why we're coming out to answer this question. Questions, yes. I saw a tweet from Bobby Wine, and he's trying to show out there that the students are being used in the wrong way. I know he knows English very well. He would have read that letter. you know, within his tweets, is scrambling with grammar to send the wrong message about association. So ours is to advocate. Whether there's a time when even the same Bobi Wine was arrested, and once I was saying, can't we demonstrate? Because Bobi Wine is a parent. So when you arrest him, you're blocking his son from going to school.
Yes.
So you come out and protest on that, they will say, are these Ponomo? Are you police or what? But ours is to interest ourselves. See, as a student, you don't care how things are done. You just give it to them plainly.
Plainly. Interesting. You did talk about the fact that if actually this directly involved the Right Honorable Prime Minister, she would have, said something on Twitter.
Yes.
But when you go on Twitter, there's some Ugandans, a section of Ugandans that are, pretty much disappointed and have actually expressed deep concern about the issue of involving school-going children in a very critical, very controversial, and very sensitive issue like this. What are your thoughts on that?
We didn't have children, school-going children. We didn't have them. We had students. And that's why once runs away from the pupils in the primary school level, because they cannot consent to anything. I can assure you, if those students who were on the streets did anything wrong, they would be arrested and charged, because most of them were above 18. That should be on record. But again, involving them in a strike is not wrong. But we are saying that they themselves read these resolutions. And these days, by the time a person is leaving nursery school can read, understand,
and comprehend, yes.
And I'm saying the narrative that is out there is this is your savior as a country. The frustration is too much, whether you're in opposition or in government. Everyone is looking for any way they can maneuver their way to good life. And now a student comes up and says, no, let's go. Let's see if we can tell them to leave our oil so that we can have good life. We are suffering at home, I'm suffering. There's no tuition, we are suffering. So can this suffering end by me? Let's just look at that perspective. It is true they might have understood the resolution, but how many Ugandans have understood it?
Anyway.
In members of parliament, if you went and asked each of them, none of them, or very few of them, know. So at the end of the day, everyone will read it plainly. Now I'm saying hashtag stop EACOP, even those on Twitter are just joining a bandwagon to put on that stand. Now they're saying students through Musa went to the streets saying, please, let's continue with our pipeline. I'm seeing a group of our students or hashtag stop EACOP donned in red attires. Meaning there's that group now that is saying no, this one was saying yes. So at the end of the day, you see politicians use students most of the times as a mass line for mobilization and wrongly articulate them. It's the time students went to the streets over high prices, you remember, and they were arrested.
Makerere University.
Makerere, Chambok, and everything. But all of them were affiliating themselves with a political party. And when they were arrested, when you would go to court, you'd see Secretary General of the political party seated in front. You'd see tweets by given political parties saying, no, leave our own students. But they're using these people to deliver a message wrongly. So at the end of the day, we become vulnerable. When this government using, there's vulnerability. So the opposition, there's vulnerability. But the way that the march was done is what was very nice. A lead car. Me, ever since I was born, I've never seen that. It was the first time as well.
Yes. Do you think it has sent the precedent of how future demonstrations will be happening in Uganda?
No.
Not at all?
Not at all, because I said this is the first. So maybe let's see another. Then we always had to say, okay, let that happen and this is happening this way. I can assure you, right to the IGP, to ask him to give you space to go demonstrate, you'll never get space. But this time they were clearing the road with a band.
Well, Mr. Okori, as someone who is a part of the Uganda National Students Association, don't you think there are more pressing issues that the students could have actually protested against rather than prioritizing the UN EACOP resolution protesting against that? Don't you think there are other pressing issues that students could have handled?
You see, there are very many pressing issues. The high tuition,
yes,
high prices in the economy. There's times teachers were striking over low pay. They're all there. Now schools are closing. Over 12,000 are going to close due to high debts. There is very high school dropout. You would literally see that a very big number of students that get back to school due to the COVID lockdown.
Yes.
And these issues are out there. I will not say that UNSA has not been in these advocacies as well, only that this has brought it out to the light.
Yes.
Many of people have known of UNSA now because of his protest and his wrong tweets and some good tweets. During the time of the teachers' strike, I myself and the rest issued an ultimatum to government.
Yes.
To sit with the teachers, or we send our students to the street, or ask them to go to class by force. Within a week or something, we saw the UNATO team come out to say, we have resolved with the government, so we're going to class. I was advisory at that level, because also UNATO is for the teachers by that time.
Yes.
So that dialogue point was there. The question is there proof of evidence of dialogue? Because when you're dialoguing, you write to people and people receive. Yes, it is there. Matters of high prices, students woke up and demonstrated. Ourselves met the deputy speaker and told him, listen, the prices are high. Upkeep is the same. If I'm on a student government sponsorship, I say, you give me 2,000 shillings per day for lunch of 3,000, what will it do? So can we have a discussion on this? And government says, no, our hands are tied. The private sector controls the economy. So now you as a student, how far would you go? Kill yourself on the street? No. No, you can't. You have sent your message, and you're getting back now to see if anything can change over that. So the matters are many. The schools closing. What will the student do? We basically can do, we as UNSA, say Minister of Education, do you have some incentives? Please, URA or UDB or whatsoever, can you give these people tax holidays to get back to, and it's just through writing.
Just through writing.
So we don't know what the school has been. Maybe there's a school you're advocating for which has never paid taxes.
Gotten any feedback on that?
No, I'm giving you, that was a way we would best address that matter. And we have been following it closely because in writing such a petition per se, you must have facts on which school is closing, why, and what's the debt burden.
Yes.
So at the end of the day, you make ground research, have a rich petition that can yield than writing anyhow on anything. Mm-hmm. So at the end of the day, that's what we can do. Because you as a student's leader, you will not change anything much. You only write to them that the implementers of policies and the rest. You write to ministry, come out on a press conference, agitate. That's the best job. But I can assure you that UNSA you see here has been lobbying for scholarship for students. I am a finance secretary. We have paid for not less than 200 students tuition. 200. 200, yes. Helping them. Others say I'm less by 500. You pay 200, 300, 400. So this is not out in the news, but it's also being done. So these success stories, the only way we can celebrate them if when the people we have paid for also succeed. And one time, maybe 10 years from now, say it was because of this that I stood out strong. Mm. So besides that protest, UNSA's job is being done in the right direction. Mm-hmm. But also there are those very many pressing issues that we can't all handle, but others are full. The best we can do is to keep recommending to the line ministries and other people to engage with.
Mm-hmm. Well, let's switch gears and talk about political parties right now in Uganda. The National Unity Platform Party and Mr. Bobi Wine. You know, they publicly came out and seconded the European Union's resolution to halt the EACOP project. What's your take on that? Because, I mean, this is the biggest leading opposition party in Uganda right now, NUP, but they came out and publicly said, we are in support of what the EU resolution says in regard to the EACOP project.
Not all the resolutions, not all the clauses, I mean, the statements and the resolutions were good. I expected the party president of his caliber to come out and say human rights violation is wrong. And this was hit on right. And I can assure you these people are for us because it's been happening. Yes. Kidnaps are happening, per se.
Drones are back.
Then you say that, okay, but again, us having the oil is good because economic growth will come and play, economic development, and lives of people will get better to some given magnitude. And say, okay, now, the best way we can get ourselves in line of this, can we have a wage bill discussion? He would now call his members of parliament and say, okay, let's fight on a wage bill. If wage bill is not done, there's no need of the oil. Such things. So him coming out and saying, no, Tojak Gasima, that kind of thing, it's his mind. And a sovereign state like this, if he's going to be head of state per se, I don't expect him to allow that much of external European influence. They are working in his favor right now because it is the only place he can run to. It's like you have an uncle who is not very good, but if your home is very bad, so you keep going to your uncle's place for refuge. Yes. So you will keep going to your uncle's place, come back and praise him at home, because you know that's the only place you'll go to. But at the end of the day, a sovereign state has to do its things its own way. So for me, is the advocacy of the resolutions are right. All the resolutions were right is wrong. I know there are some things that were in that resolution that are right, that need to be talked about. And as a nation now, we should be discussing that. Not just looking at it as a whole document. Same to the NRM people. Not just looking at it as a whole document and say, no, these people are wrong. Look at those wrong things that I've also talked about and say, okay, let's work on this. If you can work on it, it's a bigger discussion now. So political parties, of course, have a right. And the biggest role is to awaken the masses on government policies and government development plans like this. So through what they're doing their job. What else would they do? Are they churches that are preaching the word of God? No. That is their job. That's their job to do that. But again, not opposing everything.
Well, I like your unbiased opinion. You're saying at the end of the day, they have valid points,
yes,
but then some of the points are not really like making sense. But then let's talk about still the issue of university students, because we saw the UNSA strike and there were no campus students. There were no university students, especially those doing engineering or anything that is a bit, related to the oil project in Uganda. Why?
The word no means there's totally nobody you saw. The president of UNSA is a university student. There are a lot of people that I saw who were university students ahead there. Those who were speaking those valid points. Remember in Hoima?
Yes.
There was no, I didn't see, I saw students basically. But even there, I on record, I think the speaker of UNSA was there, in a university student. What is nice about UNSA is everybody who gets the leadership of UNSA is a leader. You're a guild president, you're a guild speaker, maybe in your institution of learning. So you don't get that by coincidence. So these people, I may not say that they were the minority.
They were the minority.
Yeah. But they were there. Maybe the mobilization, because I only saw a letter to secondary schools. I didn't see a letter to universities.
Oh, head teachers.
Yeah. So that would also be a query, maybe why lockdown, people understand the real things that are happening in the economy.
Yes.
But again, at the end of the day, saying you didn't see people who were doing oil-related courses
protesting.
How would you know? When a Corey brand is moving, would you know he's an art student or a science student? At the end of the day, until I come out and say I am doing petroleum engineering, is when you will know.
No, I actually, Mr. Okori, I expected to see, students advocating for, things like that still in their protest and saying, listen, we are studying these oil-related courses. We could benefit from this. We could, get job creation for students who are currently in school.
When you look at the employment, I think many of such a project in the oil business, over 60% gets to the informal sector. Those who will benefit, those cooking food around, those who have hotels, cleaning, and what and the rest. Management courses, things like that. So the oil people will basically be there and understanding this and that and that. And you see, Uganda embraced this idea a long time ago. Prior to my being in Chambogo University now to do a bachelor's in procurement, I did a diploma in civil engineering. And that course unit of oil and gas was included. And very many are doing it in engineering faculties because they are preparing the minds of the citizens early. That listen, your oil is here and you'll work for it. But at the end of the day, everybody, in case there will be employment, I don't want to be sure, in case there will be employment, everybody, whether you're in engineering faculty or any other faculty, or you did what end of course, will have a little bite from the small earnings they will get from there. So the engineering students are supposed to be the most oppressed. But come on, do they know their role there as well? Because most of the things they learn are theoretical.
Interesting, interesting. I actually like the fact that you talked about the fact that you're not sure if there's actually going to be jobs, created for people. Actually, Total Energies did release a tweet and, for job vacancies. But I can tell you the minimum qualification for some of these jobs is 10 years. 10 years minimum qualification. So, Ugandans are up in arms and they're saying, how are you requiring a minimum of 10 years qualification in a field that has just, been introduced to the country? But let's talk about the credibility of the Uganda National Students Association strike. We saw a lead car, police guiding and guarding the protesters and providing security. Do you think that raises questions when it comes to the credibility of that particular protest?
Big questions. As UNSA and part of leadership, we have written to police before, asking to give us space to protest, to deliver petitions, and I've never replied. So me, I also had, you were reading tweets, I didn't see you read mine. My question also there, really. How special are these students that this time they were given a lead car to even clear their way to delivering their petition? The question, you see, the discussion out there in the Uganda, not even that the students did something wrong.
Yes.
It is how it was done.
The how. The
how is the question. How comes they gave them this? How comes that space? How come security was directing them? How come?
Yes.
Then now the question of is it state funded comes out. So at the end of the day, the security must have reasons as to why they allowed the students to protest the lead car. I think Ananga with time will come out and clarify on this because he's a spokesperson. From my own perspective, once I wrote to them asking for clearance to have the protest. So why they cleared and how they cleared is for them to answer. From our perspective, that happened that way. But also, me as an individual, I was shocked because we have written before. At the time students were striking for high prices, they were arrested instead, taken to court, and up now they're battling in court. But again, the matters are also valid. So what is this now more valid than the rest that have been around? But again, you might blame police's previous actions, but have these people who have been protesting writing? No. A big number don't write, they just wake up and they say they've arrested. As if the acts are clear, the public order management acts are clear. The
power is clear, but you see there's some of the clear examples that we have of the opposition.
No, don't let those people who are saying that they've been being blocked release their letters out and say this was received by police on this day, it didn't clear us. See, this kind of popular game of seeking for sympathy and vote from the people. You see, all of us are politicians in our own ways. But it's good you analyze everything that comes out clearly. So you're saying that we have been being blocked when? Release the letter. Scan it out. They received the copy and say, I wrote you on this day. And nothing happened. And that's why for me I have a principle of write, dialogue, and defy. Don't defy without writing to people, without dialoguing with them. Do you know their mind?
Maybe Ugandans could have actually lost hope in the police force and being to clear them for these particular demonstrations because still the Public Order Management Act, much as it clarifies and says, write to the police 3 days before your protest. At its inception, we saw Dr. Kizza Besigye, people like General Mugisha Muntu, all those wrote, but they were never given clearance to protest or hold these demonstrations. So do you see how Ugandans could have lost
and I'm saying
faith?
Don't stop writing.
Yes.
Maybe there are those who have been going to church and never get miracles. Then you also now say, they told me when you go to church, there's nothing that will happen. What if you go and it happens to you? So it's just a belief. Right. So Unsa wrote, and it was cleared. That one I am sure that they wrote. Unless now Unsa has to release that letter that they wrote to police, which is unethical somehow. But I know the police leadership, in its own sober mind, can come out to clarify on why they cleared them very fast and why they cleared them in that manner.
I think this is a question that many Ugandans want answered. So I hope the police, Uganda force is going to come out and clarify why UNSA was cleared to protest against the, the EU resolution on EACOP, and other people have not been, given the chance to clear to demonstrate against other pressing issues in the country. But now let's talk about the fact that you, as the Uganda National Students Association, have come out to openly support EACOP. In the eyes of any environmentalist, do you guys front the concern for the environmental protection as UNSA?
So you said we stood out to say it's okay. I don't understand. UNSA as a body had a press release on that. on that matter.
Yes.
Saying it's okay in a direction. The last time I knew the PRO of UNSA is the executive secretary. I haven't seen a statement from him. The president of UNSA is a political head and has a right to make an pressing statements, depending on how he thinks on a resolution of the National Executive Committee. So such a matter, if there are minutes to that effect that the National Executive Committee sat and had a resolution in it, then you can own it as UNSA. But also, if like I'm here, I can say anything, and UNSA will deny me tomorrow's morning, because those can also be my mind out there. Rather, if the president owned it, UNSA has big membership. Students entire country are part of UNSA. So you can own it as a student, but when as a president of students, or as a leader of the students, but when another in Chambergo is saying no. So as UNSA leadership and the structures might have owned it because of reasons that they believe in.
They believe in, right. Yes.
And we should respect their reasons in their own direction as well. But the question of climate change and the rest also should have come up in their own mindset. I have been a very active member of wildlife conservation. Particularly, I'm even a board member of the wildlife clubs of Uganda. You know that when this is coming out, vis-a-vis, everything has merits and demerits.
Yes.
And every time you weigh and the demerits are more than the merits, you run away from it. The moment you see merits are more than the demerits, you take a risk. So right now, what are the merits of the oil? Per se, I don't say per se because what the Ugandans are hearing, economic growth, development, employment,
creation,
what. A normal Ugandan say, okay, now what is the good oxygen for? When I have no employment, I can't eat. What is the nice trees around for? But of course, and then they say, okay, let's now just have the oil. Let's have money. That's the end goal of everybody in this argument. But from a climate perspective, I believe that those associations, organizations that deal with climate change, and I've not yet seen any strong statement on that, them saying no because of this and this. They should also come out clearly and awaken the minds of the citizen that, listen, we also have this position because of this EACOP, global warming. Let people understand these things. People don't know. You see, the biggest number of Ugandans are illiterates. They don't even care what's happening. How many people watch TV? I think if it's more than 1 million, it's done by mistake. How many have radios? If there are 3 million, it's by mistake. So the coverage is there, but no one has this information. And the NRM government has thrived on lack of information to run over people's lives, the way they're running over them.
Well, Mr. Okori Brian, in the interest of time, any final remarks on UNSA's involvement in issues of national importance or concern, like you put it?
Yeah, UNSA should be a speed governor in advocacy on this matter because they have the biggest membership. Over 15 million students of this country are members of UNSA. And what you saw there must have been a message to government as well that we have numbers. If we can have 5,000 students match, it's so easy to get them. So that's a message that it's a strong organization, and civil society should stand by it. And this is through guiding them, because most of them are students. So guide them and say your advocate should go this way and the rest. So don't run away from them. They might have wronged today, but have showed you capacity to mobilize. At the end of the day, UNSA is there for all the students, and I have been highlighting on the benefits we have. On the 25th of this month, we are having a launch of the Keep a Girl Child in School campaign in Kololo, where we are fundraising over 1 million reusable sanitary pads to give to the girls who didn't go back to school. Those pregnancy cases and the rest. Government has no discussion on it, but we are saying, okay, listen, if condoms are for free, let's just try to distribute these ones. So when UNSA does that, will the public still castigate them for doing wrong things? So this is now a time we expect them to join us even in that. It is true they have wronged in the other direction, or we have wronged in the other direction. Let's come together and do what we can do for the students the best way. Things like loan scheme, those are advocacies of UNSA and the rest. we are now saying, can we have more job slots for government students? That discussion is on. Only that sometimes media doesn't give attention to good things. It is today that you are hosted there because they wanted to clarify that very wrong thing that happened. So let's use the platform also to ask you to get on board to at least advocate for the girl child and students of this country as well. As one side is for you, and our motto is we fight for liberation.
Thank you for your advocacy. It's impressive. It's
Yeah,
impressive.
true.
It's good to hear.
True.
Well, thank you so much for joining us this particular morning. I've been speaking to Mr. Okori Brian, who is the Finance Secretary of the Uganda National Students Association. We've been talking about the fact that students did march or protest last week on Thursday from the Kololo Ceremonial Grounds up to Crested Towers, the place that houses the EU delegation and its offices, and basically delivered their petition saying, you know, you need to back off our oil. You need to back off the East African crude oil pipeline project. Yes, we did discuss so many issues. We did get the side of the students, and you know, much as it leaves so much to be desired, especially involving kids in a sensitive, controversial issue like this, we'll see what the impact of this particular protest is going to have on this particular resolution. No, most importantly, the EU, because they are going to deliver this particular petition to the EU, so we wait to see the feedback that is going to be coming back in regards to that. My name is Prive Elibaz. Coming up is our views. This is Sunrise at Sea. Don't blink.